Welcome. This is Matt Obel. Today I'm going to show you the set of modules that make Odoo such a powerful ERP software, especially for SME. So I'm on my logon page, or login page if you will, and this is a test database that I have created. So let's just go right inside. This will be a very short video. And as soon as you log in, you'll be taken to an apps page. And this is the page where really you see all the modules that can be installed in Odoo. When we say that Odoo is without limits, it's difficult to imagine, but a page like this just gives you an idea. So there are about 36 core modules here. Of course, you know that Odoo has thousands of other modules, sub modules or add-ons or custom modules, modules that are even done in the community. But at least these are the modules out of the box that ship when you set up a new Odoo database. And I can't think of any business that is not really covered by this module. So let's just do a quick run through. For those businesses who want to target customers, you have the CRM module, which basically allows you to capture leads, people you don't know whether they will use your business or not, and then you eventually convert the leads to opportunities. At the point of conversion, what you're saying basically is that there's now an increased interest in your business. Maybe they're asking to know more, to learn more, to do more. At this point, you can actually start to engage them more deeply. These are no longer just any kind of leads. Now you can schedule meetings, you can send proposals, you can even estimate the worth of the opportunity. And then once you see the opportunity coming to close, you can actually convert those opportunities to close deals. Take them through a quotation process, close out the deal, invoice, and all of this happen very seamlessly. So from the leads, we can actually get to the point of invoicing right from the CRM module. Project module helps us in managing projects, task, milestone, delegating task, assigning users, or if you like, project team members, even to task. It's also possible for us to be able to track the time spent on task, and sometimes even invoice part of those times, or even the whole of it, depending on the agreement you have with your client. So this project management module actually allows us to manage projects in a very visible way. The other good thing about this module is because it links to our accounting module using analytic accounts, which is what we use to manage cost centers basically, or profit centers if you like. This also, the project management module also allows us to be able to run reports that shows the profitability of each project. So we're generating revenue per project, but we also have costs that are going into those projects. So this is a very good tool for you to know whether your projects are profitable or not. The supply chain team will use the inventory management module quite a lot. And what exactly is in this module? It used to be called the warehouse module, but Odoo has renamed it now to inventory management. And basically, we're talking about your inventory. Every type of inventory is covered in Odoo, whether you're doing physical products, you're doing services, or you are even doing physical products that don't need to be tracked. There's a difference between what we call stockable products, consumables in Odoo, even though both of them appear to be physical products. But stockable items are the items you really want to track. You don't want to run out of stock. And Odoo helps us to manage reorder levels using what we call order points. So with this module, I can actually start to manage things like outages of stock, how much stock do I have in my warehouse, valuation of inventory. And when people make requests for these inventory items, Odoo links this to the procurement module. If that item is not available in inventory, of course, if it is available, then it can be delivered through an internal workflow process. This is a very good module for organizations that are very heavy on inventory or have inventory at the core of their business. One of the things about inventory is that you don't want to stock too much because there's a cost to holding stock, and then you don't want to stock too little because if you run out of stocks, then you lose money eventually. So Odoo has a nice inventory management module that will excite any organization that is in inventory. And of course, at any point in time, you know where your inventory is because it is multi-location, it is multi-warehouse. We also have a good traceability, on your inventory. So how did it move, or how did they move from one particular location to another, including the movement of this inventory from the organization even to your customers, as well as when you ordered for this inventory from your supplier. So Odoo has what we call a double entry inventory management system, where inventory can never be lost because using the same accounting principles of debit credit, we will always know where our inventory is because we have at least two legs, that must match at any point in time. So this is a very nice module that those in supply chain will really love. The manufacturing module is basically, as it says, for manufacturing, and there's a lot you can do in this with this particular module. For example, you can do bills of materials. How do I bring together component raw materials or component parts to build a finished product? And this is very important because you want to also manage those component parts and ensure that you don't run out of stock. But at the end of the day, you're building a final product, and this can be ready for sale, or it can be a product that will be built only when you have orders from your customer, which means that they're actually made to order. Now, what Odoo does is, using the bills of materials, it's able to then, each time you say you want to produce 1 unit of the final product or manufacture 1 unit of the final product, Odoo is able to pull the various components or raw materials together and actually tell you, based on what you have set up front in your bills of material, actually tell you how much of the individual or component parts or raw materials are required to actually build these finished products. And then you can go through your manufacturing process, and at the end of the day you see the use of those raw materials or component parts, and then you see your final product that is built ready to sell to your customers. In version 10, the features in manufacturing has been extended, so to make it a more robust module. So now you have product life management cycle built into it. You have overall equipment efficiency built into it. You have repairs, and there's a lot in Odoo 10 for those who are interested in manufacturing. But we also find this module quite useful for even restaurants, who sell food, because basically what they do is they actually manufacture food. We can determine upfront, using the bill of materials again, how much of the raw materials we need, for example, to finish, or deliver or cook, if you like, 1 unit of fried rice or jollof rice, and all that. And so the bill of materials will then look like the recipe management, for the restaurant. So once we get an order, there are two things that can happen. It's either we're making these orders ready to sell. What then happens is you send. You start a manufacturing order. Of course, you have your bills of material that is already done upfront, based on your knowledge of how you run your business, usually a trade secret for every restaurant. And on the basis of that, the system just in a production cycle will take all those raw materials and then deliver a finished product, depleting the raw materials used and then increasing the stock of finished products, and then you can start to sell. This will be a typical thing that most restaurants will do. as they sell from day to day. But it's also possible that we take special orders. Clients who come in and want to hold a party, and they say, oh, we need 1,000 plates, or 500 packs of fried rice or jollof rice. We deal with those specially as make to orders. That means that the sales order for such request will trigger a manufacturing order once the sales order is confirmed. We're not putting together that final product until we actually have a sales order from a customer, and Odoo is able to do that. Additionally, of course, if the raw materials are not available, Odoo can propose to immediately purchase those raw materials from preferred vendors. So this is a very good module for those who are in manufacturing. Even if you are not manufacturing something and you're just putting together component parts of a final product, this is basically the module you need, because it's got kits, and an assembly functionality. The sales module, there's always a confusion as to what is sales module. Why do we have to have a module called sales? This is one area that we battle with, because most clients think, oh, the accounting module has sales, so why do I need a sales module? Well, let me explain this very quickly. Most times when you're dealing with organizations, there is a negotiation process that takes place for goods and services that you want to offer, to your clients. I'm talking about these organizations now. It doesn't usually start with invoicing. So the client you're working for may say, okay, we want X number of products that you supply, or even services. So what you will do at that point is actually raise a sales order. You don't issue an invoice. So you raise a sales order or a quotation to the customer. The customer is going to review it, and maybe through exchange of emails, you will go through some negotiation, and then at the end of the day, the order will be accepted, validated, and then the service will be provided or the goods delivered, and then you can then invoice. So you see there's a process. Now what the sales module does is it helps us to manage that process, including the different stages of approvals, until the quotation is finally converted into an invoice. So you start usually with a quote or a sales order. It goes to the customer likes it, they accept the terms and the condition, the quantities, the unit price, and then once that is done, that's a valid contract, to provide the service or deliver the goods. So what you do at that point is you confirm the sales order, and then you start your delivery process or provision of those services. And once you have delivered the product or delivered the service, you can then convert, the sales order even into a sales invoice. The beauty of this is that at the point when we're generating the sales invoice from the system, we're not entering the information manually. The same data that was captured right from the quotation stage, and which was eventually validated or confirmed in the system, will then be used to generate the invoice. So this is not exactly the sales invoice you find in accounts. Of course, once you generate the invoice, that sales invoice will then be visible in the accounts module. But the sales order system is a powerful tool when you're prospecting, and then when you're negotiating, and then before you close the deal. So you have a documentation in your system that eventually can be used for accounting purposes. Point of sale module is for retail organization. Basically, it's a supermarket, a bakery, dry cleaning, pharmaceuticals, even restaurants, as long as you use this touch screen or point of sale systems. And it basically allows us to be able to sell things over the counter using a barcode scanner, a good point of sale touch screen system, with a cash register, receipt printer, and then you can basically just scan, your products as you sell them at the cash desk, and the system automatically updates the inventory, in the system. So that means that the POS module actually connects to the inventory management system. One other good thing that you will find in the point of sale module is that we can actually receive products into inventory using the same scanner that we use to sell. So this makes it faster and easier for retail businesses who carry large quantities of inventory to be able to bring those inventory into the system automatically using barcode scanners. It also has RFID functionality where we like the point of sale module because even though Odoo is a web-based application which can be hosted online, even when you don't have internet access, you'll still be able to sell using point of sale because it works offline. It's such a powerful module for most retail businesses. Let's jump quickly to accounting. The accounting module, of course, is where a lot of these things end up. And I like to mention this very quickly. A very, very extensive module that basically, makes the life of the accountant, a lot easy. You've got chart of accounts, you've got customer management, you've got supplier management, customer invoices, supplier invoices. Remember when I talked about the sales order? Eventually we generated a sales invoice. You'll find that invoice in accounts or in the accounting module where it can then be validated and then a journal generated automatically by the system to your general ledger. The accounting module, if properly set up, more often than not, does not even require a deep knowledge of accounting, because the way Odoo works is every transaction that takes place in all these other modules like sales, project management, inventory management actually generates double entry using journals. Odoo is very strong on journals. So when I do a sales, it generates a sales journal. When I do a procurement, it generates a procurement journal. When I generate or process inventory, an inventory journal is generated. So in accounts module, you will find those journals waiting to be validated. So like I said earlier on, you've got journal entries, you've got accounts receivable, you've got accounts payable, you've got fixed assets, petty cash, staff advances, where staff can take money on behalf of, to run errands on behalf of the company, and then they can come back and make retirements. And this is nicely done. Each staff taking advances can actually log into the system, and their retirements or their request can be approved through a process. There are lots of financial reports you can generate here: trial balance, general ledger, profit and loss account, balance sheet, and several other nice reports. So the accounting module, which was enhanced from version 9, it's an easy to use. Imagine that you can create your invoice on the fly, you can email it automatically to your customer, you can print it in very nice report layouts, and plus some other functionalities such as budgeting. When we go into accounting module, so you will see a lot of capabilities that I don't want to cover in this video, because I want to make this video as short as possible. Let me jump into the procurement module. If you buy services or products, then you want to manage your vendor through the purchase management module. And basically what you're doing is, here we're talking about the flip side of the sales order. The purchase management allows us to buy things directly, but more often than not, if you're in a structured organization, you're going to have to create purchase orders, give POs to your vendors, ask them to quote, and then review the various quotes, accept the one that meets your requirements from the point of view of quality, experience of the supplier, track record, timely delivery, how quickly can they deliver, and so on and so forth. So once you made a selection or make a selection of the final supplier that has won your bid, then that quote, that request for quotation, RFQ, would then be converted into a purchase order. You give the purchase order to the vendor go deliver the service or bring in the product. You can receive the products physically. If it's a product, of course, it links automatically with your inventory management system, and once that delivery is done, the invoice is generated automatically from the system. So there's a nice linkage or integration between the procurement, the inventory, and the accounting module, such that you can never lose sight of what you're buying. The system will not basically allow you to pay for something that you have not received. And there's also a lot of things we can show you once we go into these specific modules. What else? HR Payroll. The HR Payroll module has several components. The employee directory allows us to be able to manage individual employees' details, more like a directory. Okay, so once we set up the employees, we have all their details, in this particular module. And then you have the attendance management module. If a company is interested in tracking the time spent at work by employees, then this module, which also integrates with time and attendance clocking devices. So this module allows us to be able to keep track of attendance at work, and you can use that to link to your payroll and actually pay salaries on the basis of the days worked. There's also a recruitment section of the HR module, which allows us to be able to add new employees into the system. The recruitment module is very powerful. We can find new employees let's start with the application phase of the recruitment process. So we can add individual applicants or the applications into the system directly by just keying in those data. Alternatively, we can import a number of applications from a CSV file, an Excel file, and then all of that are populated into the recruitment process. The third option is to allow users to send their emails or their CVs to a dedicated HR email, e.g. hr@companyxyz.com. And then Odoo is very intelligent to pull those applications and then populate the relevant data into specific fields in the application form, which is already set up in Odoo. The last way to bring in applications or applicants' data is to create a web form on your website, and then the applicants will come and fill those fields, and then once they submit, those relevant data are also populated at the back end in your application database. And then once you have that data, we can then go through a recruitment process, schedule, shortlist candidates, schedule them for interview, actually interview them, reject some of them, accept the good ones. And then once they are accepted, then you can basically convert them into full-time employees. So that's recruitment. And then you also have evaluation as well. Let me see, it's called appraisal as well. It should be somewhere. But anyway, Odoo has an appraisal module, which is also called evaluation, that allows us to be able to appraise the employees. And different companies have different appraisal system. And we can do appraisals by individual employees or group of employees or employees by categories. And we can do appraisals, at any time of the year. And you can run different kinds of appraisal, 120 degrees appraisal, 360 degree appraisal, what they call, top-down appraisal, bottom-up appraisal. There's no limit to what you can do with the appraisal module. And of course, we're also able to design nice appraisal forms. At the end of the day, this appraisal will generate some performance metrics. Okay, so Odoo is able to crunch some final numbers for us, and this can also be linked to the payroll module or some kind of promotion, and even sanctions, in the system because of poor performance. So that's the recruitment module. There are a few other things we can do of course, with recruitment. So one last point I want to make on recruitment, on the HR module, is the fact that we can run payroll. Yeah, payroll is very key. Some other software offer payroll as an add-on, but Odoo has this built in into the system. But what we've done is we've localized the payroll module for the Nigerian environment so that the current payee tax table, can be implemented even out of the box. Of course, there are situations where some clients try to manage, their exposure. They're not evading tax, but they can manage it in a way that it's seen as more of an avoidance instead of an evasion. So the the payroll module, it's a very nice module. And once the payroll is processed, and we can do the payroll using any complex set of rules, pay salaries per staff, per categories of staff, offer different staff with different remuneration packages, or employment contracts. Odoo will still be able to deliver unique payroll computations based on all of these criteria. You can also generate pay slips, notify employees about their pay slips, or send the pay slips to the employees by email. And using a self-service functionality, employees can actually log in and then pick up their pay slips. Employees can log into the system, once the salary is finalized, and then, print out their pay slip. The payroll module also allows us to generate bank advices. So once you finalize the payroll, you can generate a bank advice, send it to your bank electronically, and then the bank can begin to credit the individual employees' salaries. The payroll module extended functionalities also allows us to be able to split salaries. Some companies want to pay salaries twice in a month, half-month salary or mid-month salary, and then end-of-month salary. So our modules our payroll module obviously can handle these scenarios. Lastly, on payroll, the statutory deductions that are made from employee salaries need to be remitted. So we have what we call contribution registers that allows us to be able to mark the items of payroll that will be deducted and then remitted to this statutory body. So once you finalize payroll, you don't need to start to build this information using an Excel sheet, because it's already generated automatically, or it can be generated automatically from the system. So that's the contribution register. What else can I show you in this short video? There are other tools that you will find, or features that you find in Odoo. Of course, you know that once you have Odoo, you don't need a website, because Odoo comes with a website builder that allows you to have a website, which is the front end of your business, and that website is nicely integrated, with your back end. So all these modules that I just described are also nicely integrated, with the website builder. So once we build your website with this, it means that we can control data from the back end, at the back end from the front end, and vice versa. So this is a very nice tool, and you can have your own domain name, and we will configure it so that if anybody goes to your website, they see a front end when in fact what you're doing is running Odoo at the back end and then showing the front end, to your customers. I mentioned POS, but we also have e-commerce. E-commerce is great these days. A lot of companies want to sell online, so the e-commerce modules actually allow us to be able to add a web shop to our website, and then begin to add products, design it the way we want, and then drive traffic to that website so that people can begin to buy our products and our services. I wanted to keep this video within 30 minutes, but this is just a quick review of what kind of core applications. Like I said, this probably is just a list of 36 core modules. If I take that filter away, then you see we have about 312 modules. But if you go to the App Store, you'll find hundreds, if not thousands, of modules, especially that have been contributed from the community. So I'd like to thank you for listening. In other videos, we will specifically dive into each of these modules so that you can appreciate the power of Odoo for SMEs. To get started, please visit www.OdooSME.com or email us at erp@mattobel.com. Thanks, and see you on the other side.